Roman farmers had already figured out the ultimate secret to soil fertility years ago, a technique so effective that Pliny the Elder called it the best plant for green manuring. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of Roman agriculture and their revolutionary use of lupins as green manure, a practice that sustained the mighty Roman Empire for centuries. This isn't just ancient history. It's a masterclass in sustainable agriculture that modern farmers are rediscovering. To understand why lupins were so revolutionary, we need to understand Roman agriculture. Almost everywhere, a large part of the population was engaged in agriculture at a relatively low level. Yet the Romans managed to feed an empire of over 50 million people at its peak. The key was their systematic approach to soil management. Unlike many ancient civilizations that simply depleted their soils and moved on, the Romans developed sophisticated techniques for maintaining and improving soil fertility over generations. Cultivation of lupins is recorded as early as 2000 BC in Egypt, and the crop was well known by Greek and Roman times. But it was the Romans who truly perfected their agricultural use. The use of lupins as green manure, and generally their wide utilization in agriculture, presumably started in the times of ancient Rome, when a new stage of lupin cultivation had begun. This wasn't accidental. It was the result of careful observation, documentation, and knowledge transfer across the empire. The Romans were meticulous record keepers, and fortunately for us, their agricultural knowledge was preserved by several key writers who documented lupin cultivation. The Big Three: 1. Cato the Elder, 234 to 149 BC. De Agricultura, the earliest surviving Roman agricultural text. 2. Columella, 4 to 70 AD. De Re Rustica, 12 volumes of comprehensive farming advice. 3. Pliny the Elder, 23 to 79 AD. Naturalis Historia, 37 volumes, including extensive agricultural sections. These agrarian writers dispensed advice for literate Romans during the Roman Republic and Empire, creating what was essentially the world's first comprehensive agricultural extension service. What's remarkable is how much they agreed on lupins. According to Plinius, that 1754. In contrast to animal fertilizer, the ancient authors agree that it is the best plant for green manuring. Let's focus on Columella, who provided the most detailed instructions on lupins. His De Re Rustica in 12 volumes has been completely preserved and forms an important source on Roman agriculture. Columella places lupin above all leguminous plants. He recommends it as the best fertilizer for depleted vineyards and fields, for exhausted soils. But here's what makes his advice so practical. He didn't just say, plant lupins. He gave specific instructions. According to Columella's writings, lupins should be planted in autumn for spring plowing. They work especially well for exhausted soils, what we'd call degraded farmland today. The entire plant should be plowed under while still green, macerated and boiled. It provides good winter feed for oxen, showing they used every part of the plant. This wasn't just theory. This was practical advice from a working farmer who had seen results. Pliny the Elder took a more encyclopedic approach, but his observations about lupins are fascinating from a modern perspective. When it comes to ranking green manure in classical antiquity, the lupin stands out on top. What's remarkable is how closely Pliny's observations match modern soil science. He noted that lupins improved soil structure better than other legumes, could grow in poor soils where other crops failed, left the soil in better condition for following crops, required minimal inputs while providing maximum benefit. The work, which was largely complete by 77 CE, is divided into 37 books and covers such subjects as botany, making it one of the most comprehensive scientific works of the ancient world. So how did this actually work in practice? Let's reconstruct a typical Roman estate's lupin rotation system. The Roman villa system, Roman agricultural estates, called villa rustica, were sophisticated operations. The villa would typically include Main crop fields for grains, vineyard areas, olive groves, dedicated green manure plots. The lupin rotation. 1. Year 1. Plant lupins on fallow field in autumn 2. Spring year 2. Plow under lupins at flowering stage 3. Year 2 to 3. Plant wheat, barley, or other grains 4. Year 4. Allow field to rest. Repeat cycle. This system was so effective because it addressed multiple challenges: nitrogen fixation for following crops, soil structure improvement, pest and disease break, organic matter addition. The archaeological evidence supports the written records. Excavations at Roman villa sites across the empire have revealed Pompeii and Herculaneum. Carbonized lupin seeds found in storage areas show they were commonly used. Analysis of pollen samples from nearby fields suggests lupin cultivation was widespread. Roman Britain. Sites in southern England show evidence of lupin cultivation, indicating the practice spread throughout the empire. This is particularly interesting because lupins aren't native to Britain. The Romans introduced them specifically for agricultural purposes. Gaul, modern France. Large-scale Roman agricultural sites in the Rhone Valley show field patterns consistent with rotation systems using green manure crops. The fact that lupins appear at Roman sites from Spain to Britain to North Africa demonstrates this wasn't just local knowledge, it was empire-wide agricultural policy. The Romans also used green manures like faba beans and lupins to make their soil more fertile. But why did lupins become their preferred choice? Practical advantages. 1. Climate adaptability. Lupins could grow in a Mediterranean climate and in cooler northern provinces. 2. Soil tolerance. They thrived in poor soils where other legumes struggled. 3. Multiple uses. Seeds for animal feed, whole plant for green manure. 4. Fast growth. Quick establishment meant faster soil improvement. Economic benefits. Lower seed costs than importing animal manure. Reduced labor compared to transporting and spreading manure. Self-sufficient system that didn't require external inputs. Improved yields paid for themselves within one season. The Romans were practical people. If lupins weren't delivering measurable results, they wouldn't have used them across the entire empire for centuries. So what happened to this knowledge? The fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD marked the beginning of what historians call the agricultural Dark Ages in Europe. Why the knowledge was lost: breakdown of educational systems, loss of written records, shift from large estates to subsistence farming, focus on survival rather than soil improvement. Similarly, a crop of lupines was sometimes planted for plowing in as green manure, and occasionally a crop of beans was used in the same way. This shows that some knowledge survived into medieval times, but it was fragmentary. It wasn't until the agricultural revolution of the 18th and 19th centuries that European farmers began rediscovering these Roman techniques, often without realizing they were reviving ancient practices. What can modern farmers learn from Roman lupin practices? Timeless principles. 1. Systematic approach. Romans didn't just plant randomly. They had specific timing and methods. 2. Documentation. They recorded what worked and shared knowledge across the empire. 3. Multiple benefits. They maximized every aspect of the plant: feed, fertility, soil structure. 4. Long-term thinking. Roman estates were managed for generations, not just single seasons. Modern applications. Cover crop rotations that mirror Roman systems. Using lupins for soil restoration on degraded farmland. Integrated livestock crop systems. Sustainable intensification techniques. The Romans proved that sustainable agriculture isn't a modern invention. It's a rediscovery of ancient wisdom. The Roman use of lupins for green manure represents one of history's greatest agricultural innovations. For over 500 years, this simple practice helped sustain an empire that stretched from Scotland to Sudan. When it comes to ranking green manure in classical antiquity, the lupin stands out on top, and now you know why. The Romans didn't just stumble onto this technique. They systematically developed, documented, and spread it across their vast empire. Today, as we face challenges of soil degradation and sustainable food production, perhaps it's time to look backward to move forward. What do you think? Are there other Roman agricultural techniques we should be rediscovering?